Hello, it says it's showtime. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jay. Welcome to the world according to Jay. That's me. And I'm joined. Who am I joined by? Who are you? What are you doing? Are you taking over my channel?
Yes. The
Okay.
person who you can never, like the name you can never remember, it's Leah Lindman from Pen to
I
Paper.
do know you. I just thought you want to introduce yourself.
Yes.
What are we doing on a Sunday afternoon during football season? This is nuts.
Yeah. Well,
Did I
I
sign up
don't
for
follow
this?
football, so this is not my fault. I didn't know football was going on, people. I'm sorry.
But
But
who decided to buddy read this in November?
you,
Did I? Are
yes, it was you.
you sure?
Yes, I said that. No, wait. Back in September, October, I mentioned that I wanted to read Betty. And then
Hmm.
you reached out to me and you said, "Hey, you want to buddy read this?" And
I
then
don't
I
remember. I don't
said,
remember this conversation at all. Speaking of
such a
Betty, this
simple
is what we're talking about here. This chunker. Look at
hmm
that. My attention span was all over the place, by the way, with this. Did I? I thought you reached out to me because I kept on saying I need to read that, but I don't.
Well, maybe it was mutual. Maybe like you reached out and I reached out at the
Well, I mean,
same
there was a lot
time.
of other people who did like a video. What was it? April, March, sometime like that.
I thought it
And
was in the summer.
was it?
Yeah, like June, July.
Yeah, my memory's like a 90-year-old, so you could be right.
Yeah,
But we were not invited to that. I think it's
no.
because we didn't read it. So
Exactly.
that would make sense, right? Yeah. So
But
here we are.
it's
So we
never
read
too
it.
late.
We have read it since then. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Your
I,
reaction?
I'm calling this I'm calling this a mood book.
Yeah.
What do you think?
You could say a mood book. It,
Yeah.
and the fact that we buddy read it in November, and I think I started it. Did I start it on November 1st? I think
Did
I
you?
sent you a message that I started when I started it. I got like 90 some pages in or something like that, and
Yeah.
you hadn't started yet.
No, I
And
hadn't started.
and then the next day you were like on page 300 and I was still stuck on 90 or something like that. So, yeah.
The
I
power
went
of consistency.
I went weeks without reading parts of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean and I don't know if it was because of the subject matter or just my attention span or I don't know what, but there were quite a few times I just didn't touch it for many days.
I think that's to do mostly with pacing.
Yeah.
Um, the pacing at the beginning of the book was a little, it would be start and then, it would go at a nice clip and then stop because then it would get to those more moody pieces
Hmm.
where her dad is showing her, like secrets of keeping the garden and the land and their heritage, which I
Right.
think is really cool, specifically, the lore and the Cherokee heritage. I think it's great to stick that in there, but it was just kind of like start, go, start, stop, start, stop. And that really jarred a little bit, the
Yeah.
pacing.
I mean, I really hate to use this analogy, but it was a roller coaster, definitely, because there
Yeah.
were some. I mean, there were high points where there were parts that was very infuriating, and you got worked up, and then there are quite a few points where you're just okay, nothing's really happening. It slows it down so much, and my attention span. I'm like, okay, come on, let's pick it up, and I tried so hard not to skip a page or two when I did,
But
I'm
you
like,
ended,
"Oh crap! Now have to go back because I missed something," and it just happens. So,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
we have
No,
the
sure.
Kotex
Oh,
Cantina in here with us, most likely Una,
hey,
and the Brad Proctor in here with us.
Brad.
Hello, everybody. So, how do you want to do this? You want to hop into your thoughts and then my thoughts, and then
Sure, we can do
okay,
that. So,
go
as I
go
said,
for it.
I felt like it was very much a mood book. Pacing at the beginning was a little tough, but I felt once it got to, I would say, maybe a little bit before half or half of the book, the pacing smoothed out a
Mm.
little bit better. So I had a easier time reading through it without feeling like it needed to go somewhere. There's a lot of great discussion material in this book,
Mm.
and I think specifically to do with the themes of family and family relationships and how that affects one's life in general. So I can't really wait to get into those questions and discussions. But overall, it was a solid read and very lyrical and poetic. The writing style at a lot of points, I really did enjoy that, and it's it's a difficult read to get through at some points, especially when she's going through, or her sister is going through a lot of abuse, emotional abuse, or
Right.
physical abuse, or sexual abuse. But the ending, I liked the ending. It was a bittersweet ending, but there's a lot jam packed in this book in terms of what she goes through in her life. So overall, I like this book. I'm giving it a 4 stars because the writing was very strong. But as I said, the pacing did kind of slow me down, or I felt like I really had to push myself in the beginning to read this.
Trying to find that rhythm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with most of what you said. Basically, I mean, it's a stunning book. It's very lyrical, poetic. Um, it was a little, well, I don't know. I didn't have trouble starting it in the beginning. I don't know if I was just hyped up to finally get to it. I
Hmm.
had trouble um, wanting to finish it, I guess. Uh, I started finding some parts repetitive and very slow.
Hmm.
And it was almost like I couldn't wait to get to the parts that were going to make me furious, that were going to upset me, that were the issues. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get to those just to pick it up some, just speed it up a little bit, just to get me more involved. Because there were a few times with some of the down parts where I'm reading it and my mind starts to wander a little bit, and that's just probably me. But yeah, there are quite a few parts that were disturbing. And I do want to hear what you have to say about the whole family situation that you alluded to earlier. Uh, it kind of shows that family can sometimes be pretty evil, right? There were so many kids to try to keep track of who's doing what. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm probably leaning towards I really like the father the most, you know, and I don't think this is a spoiler. The mother checked out early.
Oh yeah.
It was the
She made
father
it
was
out.
the yeah, I mean, and the father was the strong one of the family. That storyline itself, that plot line, that surprised me a little bit, and I enjoyed it because you don't hear that too often today. It's
Yeah.
usually the mother is usually the solid person of the family, you know, because there's a lot of single mother families out there, and in this story where you see mother and father stayed together for the most part the whole time, but it was the father that was, you know, holding down the fort.
Yeah.
That was a storyline I didn't expect going into it, that I enjoyed, that I actually liked that part of the storyline. That's a part that actually boosted it up some for me. Um,
Yes.
the relationship between all the siblings, it was almost like they knew from the get go that they were kind of doomed. I mean, they're in a low income family, um, and they're considered outsiders because the father is Cherokee, and they're living in a part of Ohio that didn't accept that, you know. So that could actually come into play again today, just not necessarily with the Cherokee, but more African American, because Southern
Yeah.
Ohio sometimes it's still kind of like that. You know, there's
Hmm.
still some separation. So I mean, I like the way it kind of tied into the society that we're into today. It kept me more involved too, because I'm starting to experience some of this, and I could see some of it growing up myself.
Okay.
Um, I don't know what I am as far as the score goes, and because I don't just want to split the difference. You know, I have a low end and a high end. Maybe by the time we're at the end of the show, I'll have a final score. So I won't give you my score yet.
Okay. Well, I said 4 stars, but it might bump up to 4.5. I'm not sure. Like, we'll see.
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the number one reason to check out this book?
Mm,
You want to answer that because I'm trying to let me think of an answer for myself. Go ahead.
sure. The number one reason to check out this book would be for the deep issues that it raises in terms of, you kind of alluded to this, Jay, how it deals with racism. And then I alluded to the family element. And these are issues that are very real in our society today. They might look a little different, but um, it shows a lot of what not to do, actually, which you could take and then turn out to, well, this is what we should be doing in our society today, and this is how we should be treating people. But it's a beautiful story in that it shows a lot of tragedy, but there are those golden nugget moments, specifically as you said with the dad,
Right.
where he really keeps as much as he can the family together and Betty's life, and the ability to move past hurt with the strength of a loved one.
Yeah. I think I'm leaning towards some of that, just to change it up a little bit. You
Mhm.
see a young girl who's like in the middle of the pack as far as the siblings go. She's like number 6, I think, 5 or 6.
Yeah,
I can't remember. But you see a family that's in poverty, that is looked at as outsiders, because the father is Cherokee, and Betty herself is the one that looks more like him than the others. She's got the
yeah,
darker skin. You see her rise past all of this, to it. She was doomed from the get-go. The family was doomed from the get-go. I mean, it starts out, with a girl comes of age against the knife, and there's some of that plays into what she experienced at school, the bullying that took place at school,
oh yeah, that was
the
terrible.
yeah, the incident that she witnesses between 2 of her siblings.
Hmm.
Um, it's just some of the conversations that her mother forces on her is not conversations that any mother should force on one of their kids. Especially, I think at the time, some of those conversations was like she was like 7 or 8. You
Yeah.
know, and despite all of that, she has this plan in her head that she doesn't really allow people to know, but she has this plan in her head how to survive, how to get past this, how to rise up past all of this. So, I mean, it is a true coming of age story of
Hmm.
someone that was born with nothing and made something out of it, you know.
Yeah,
So, I
that's a
mean,
beautiful way to put it.
yeah, I wouldn't say it's a feel good story, because the
No.
ending doesn't feel good at all. But if you look at it from the angle that she survives a lot of the stuff,
Yeah,
then it works out. It works out. So
but you see that she survives with a lot of scars,
yes,
unfortunately. Yeah.
yes. It was a 5-star for Brad. Yes,
Hmm.
when Brad did that show earlier,
Yeah.
with everyone, I think everyone said it was a 5 in that.
Yeah,
I
and
think I'm
that's
probably
why I
leaning
feel
towards a
so
4 right now.
terrible. I
No,
feel so
I don't think you
terrible
should.
because I'm like, whoa, does this make me inferior? But then again, everybody has their own opinions. And I look up to you guys so much, Brad, Leslie, all of you guys that are part of the show. But yeah, it was, but it's so, so strong in the writing that you can't go. I don't know. I couldn't go lower than a 4 because the writing is so strong. Um,
I think I'm going to lean. I'm pretty close to a 4.
yeah.
What's keeping me from a 5? I mean, I would say I don't know if it needed to be 470 pages. You
Yeah.
know, uh, like you said, you were talking about earlier, the pacing, and that's
Hmm.
big. There were a lot of parts that were just kind of downtime, and it would be different if they were setting up other parts. Um, but it got repetitive at times. I like when a book makes me exhausted, but this was a different kind of exhaustion. It was me getting exhausted because it was the same thing over and over and not anything special happening.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I wanted to get to the rough parts to keep the momentum moving. There was just, I think if you cut out a lot of the low times, and they are probably crucial to the story in some way, shape, or form. But if you were to cut out 50 to 75 pages, you know,
I
I'd
think
be
it's
really,
doable.
I think I would be more hyped up about it, I guess you could say.
Hmm. And there's some parts too, like where she talks about there's the woman in the village where that person drowned in the sand pit,
Mm,
the quicksand. Like, there's some pieces of lore that
yeah.
belong to the town that were really interesting, but it kind of almost deviated. Like, it had a little bit to do with the story, but it deviated to a certain extent that I felt like it could almost be a companion novella that you could have like all these the
You
lore
could,
of the town.
yeah, you could really have some side stories with, I think. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
The mother was horrible, but
yes,
yeah, the thing about that too, like when you start seeing how horrible the mother is,
yeah,
you kind of know. I mean, it was setting up to reveal her traumas. Some of the conversations she had and the way that you just like reading what was happening with the mother, you knew there's more to the story there.
yeah.
And at least I did. I figured, okay, we're going to find out about what really happened to the mother later on,
Hmm.
because there's going to be a reason why she's having these conversations and why she's acting the way she's acting. You, it kind of, I kind of got the feeling early on because the way the father treated her once she brought home, was it Landon? Is that, I can't think of the father's name now.
Oh, the father. Yes, I think so. Yeah,
When and she kind of told him, my father is not going to like you, basically,
yeah,
and she wanted him to take care of it. Uh, Her father, the way he acted when he first saw she was with him, because he was Cherokee, right then and there, I kind of knew, okay, we're going to get more of a backstory, and it's
mhm,
going to come out that something happened to her also. You know,
yeah,
I didn't know it was going to go that deep. I didn't know, or I guess I didn't think it too much through of what was going to happen. I just knew something was going to happen, basically.
yes, yeah,
But yeah, it doesn't make up for the way that she was treating, especially the way she was treating Betty, because I mean, it was almost like because Betty looked more like her father, she felt she had to tell her some of the things. So she told her and treated her the way she treated her. And yeah, it was kind of as a parent, that's just kind of, that got me a few times. Like, okay,
yeah, for
this is very infuriating me a little bit. So
Yeah, and just that kind of ties into what their family situation was like, because as a family, you want to keep each other strong, right? You want
right,
to include everyone and you want to be a strong family unit, but I felt actually that this was a very sad situation of a family that did not connect properly,
yeah,
because that racism played in. Yeah, sure, some of the kids looked more white and then one, she looked more Cherokee, but they didn't, help their kids navigate that. They just kind of let them be. And then the kids formed their own opinions from their friends and from the way other people treated her. And so that just exacerbated this whole race issue that, if they had been a strong family unit and talked through this with their kids and said, like, doesn't matter that, your sister looks different or that your dad looks different. We're going to stick together and we're going to
right.
pull through this together. But instead, I didn't feel there was a lot of hard issue dialogue within the family to talk through these things. And I think that's really key for a strong family unit.
What do you think? Is because there's just so many of them? I mean, there's what
Well, I
nine
would know, right?
nine. Well, okay, I didn't mean it like that, but like there were 9 kids, and
Yeah.
that at that time period, that was normal to have
Yes.
a big family. I think both my parents come from uh, families of 7 kids each. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to check on that. Now, my parents just had two. My wife's parents just had two. It was different then. You'd have a lot of kids, but I don't. I'm just wondering if that affected the way their parenting was. Something along with the mother's trauma from the past. Having 9 kids also probably has some kind of effect on her mentally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so you see that she checks out, and then it's like almost like the father. He realizes, hey, I have to basically run this family. I have to make the money, and I have to make sure the kids are eating, and that they're going to school, and that everything is stable.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that there was not a lot of conversations, like you were talking about, a lot of life lessons, it just might have been too big of a family for that to really happen.
Yeah. Well, not so much that. Well, yeah, that's debatable. I have to say, like, having a big family, because I have 6 kids. Yeah, I have to push myself every day, not only to just cover the basics of like feeding them and dressing them and, teaching them or whatever, but yeah, you have to be very intentional with finding those moments where you can connect with each one of them. And have to, when they're fighting, how do you deal
Hmm.
with that? And it would be so easy to just check out and do whatever I want to do. Like, it's difficult. It's not an easy job. But because she had all that past trauma and mental health issues because of that, I could see that she would not be strong enough on her own. And, he's they're also, their relationship is very interesting too, because it's not like they were madly in love with each other.
Right.
She got pregnant, right? And so of course he's gonna step up and take care of her. And so even for that relationship, it wasn't a flourishing relationship. He made it solid by doing the best he could. But he's not Superman. He can't stretch himself and take care of the kids and take care of her and provide. Like, that's just so much for one person.
Right.
So I see how a lot was just falling through the cracks because she was not in a state that she could help him in that way and he could help her, vice versa.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
I think Brad brings up a good point here that
Yes.
the dad tried to instill in Betty what she should be proud who she is of her heritage, because the mother wasn't going to, because I mean she made comments like almost like she's mad at Betty for looking so
Yeah,
much like his dad, Um,
exactly.
looks like Una had
Oh,
to jet here, but he's going to pick up the book. Cool. Check it out.
very
Maybe
cool. Yes,
maybe,
it's
maybe we'll
definitely worth.
see maybe we'll see an episode of Codex Cantina talking about Betty later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. It's definitely worth the read at least once.
Yeah.
It's so strong in that sense.
I like the point you just made. It wasn't like they were madly in love with each other. This day and age, they wouldn't be together, right?
Probably not, no.
So and so that's one thing when I was reading it, thinking, okay, I had to get out of the mindset of it taking place in the past, because this day and age, they wouldn't be together the way they were acting with each other in the book.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, okay, I gotta get back into time, what was it, early 50s,
Yes, I think so.
40s,
50
50s, how they
or
kind of,
40s, yeah.
yeah. Well, I think Betty was 50, born in 54, so she was what, 5 or 6.
Okay.
So the first kids were in the 40s.
Yeah.
Um, they this day and age they wouldn't be together, and I don't know. It was almost. I guess you could look at it that they stayed together for the kids, but then did they
Yeah.
really? Because the mother was just kind of checked out. So
I think, well, that's why, you said you really like the father figure, and I really
yeah,
loved him too, because I think also is just a strong sense of duty. Like, he didn't have
yeah,
to marry her,
right,
but he did, and he took
yeah.
care of her to the best of his abilities, right? And so I'm not
Once he
sure.
found out she's pregnant with the first kid, it was right.
Yeah, it
So
was kind of like a done deal. And I'm not sure, like, I don't know too much about Cherokee heritage, so I don't know if that comes from that or just it could be at the times as well.
I
But
was hoping you would do some research because I don't know much about it either.
oh,
I
I
thought
did
you were
not
going.
do
I
it.
thought you were going to be the one to bring stuff to the show.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We didn't play this out
Well,
too well, did we? Well,
I failed.
it's okay. It's okay. Yeah,
You forgive me. Okay, good.
just I guess so.
I guess so.
What what style? What kind of book? What kind of genre do you think this is?
I would say definitely literary fiction with some dark fiction elements because of the trauma that they go through.
Right.
But it reads a lot like a literary fiction because, I find literary fiction books in general tend to be
Mhm.
mood books
Okay.
because, you have that overarching plot, but then there's a lot of thematic element that I find very frequently in literary fiction books that there was quite a bit of in here.
Well, I know it says that this is about the writer's mother, Tiffany McDaniel's mother, Betty.
Yeah, okay. So it's like a
So
biography as
yeah, so
well.
I was gonna say, do we know? I don't remember reading if all of these events were true. So I was kind of looking at it as a creative nonfiction style,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, because I mean, these could all be very true, but maybe she took a little bit of a creative process to uh, stretch them a little bit or make it more involved for the story. I'm not sure. Uh, but
But it
there are,
doesn't read like that. It
right.
actually reads like it could be a very realistic back portrait of what happened
Yeah.
to her.
I
Yeah.
mean, and I'm not saying it's nonfiction straight across, but creative nonfiction. I've read some creative nonfictions before where I'd step
Yeah.
back and say, okay, I just forgot it was nonfiction because of the way it's presented. Because
Yeah.
it's more like in a storytelling mode instead of
Yeah.
an actual fact for nonfiction. It's more like, well, once upon a time, here's what happened, and it's just the style it's presented in,
Hmm.
in a more creative way. But I could also, say this leans towards the dark fiction and horror because
Yeah, for sure.
of all the horrific scenes that happen to the kids, especially when they're young, and just
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I think this is one of those books where I know a lot of horror fans and dark fiction fans they read it, and
Hmm.
it's not necessarily targeted towards the horror fans and dark fiction fans, but they've accepted it to read it. So I can see
Yeah,
the elements really leaning that way.
for sure. I agree.
What's feels
Oh,
like Southern lit takes place in Ohio. Well, Brad, you being in Kentucky and me being in Ohio, I mean, you should know that how Southern Ohio kind of,
yeah. Like to
yeah,
me,
Southern
it's very
Ohio is.
southern.
I mean, how could I put this about Southern Ohio? Because my wife's from Southern, more like Southeast Ohio is where she's
Okay.
from. Um, things are aside from Cincinnati, everything east of Cincinnati in Southern Ohio is a little different. May-
Okay.
it's a very southern feel. I mean, it's not like it's Alabama or Mississippi or like a southern state, but it's very Appalachian almost.
Mm,
So um, I could see as some of the stuff happened in the book. I could see
yeah.
that. I could see that because I may have witnessed some of it firsthand before.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, we were all southern compared to Leah.
I know you guys have your differences in your states. I studied American history, so I understand.
Is there a part? Is there anything like an area in Canada that's considered, uh, well,
South.
southern that
Yeah.
ties into this kind of story, or like what we're explaining as being Kentucky or Alabama or country southern? Help me out here, Brad, since you're in the chat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is there a
Well,
part of Canada that's
we have rednecks in Canada, but they're more
really
west.
okay?
Yes. Like more like Alberta, British Columbia. I know there are some in Ontario too. I don't know if it's as prevalent, but yeah, like where they have the whole, lumberjack shirt and
Rural. There you go.
yes, rural, that's it.
I couldn't find the word.
Yes, that's it, rural. Like I live in Eastern Ontario, so we're pretty country, but it's not
Are
redneck
you?
territory.
Are you
Yeah,
country?
I am. I'm in the middle of cornfields.
Is that just because there's not another house for like another mile or two, or is that
No,
considered country or what?
yes, it's
Because
very, very country. The next house, technically, the next house is maybe like half a mile next to us, so we could walk to it. But
okay,
then the house after that is quite a ways far down the road.
gotcha. And is
Yeah.
it farmland or
Yeah, it's farmland. They
okay?
they grow corn and soybeans.
I didn't
It's a
realize there was
very,
farmland in Canada.
but
I
not
really
sweet
didn't
corn.
know.
No, Eastern Ontario is the place where they grow. It's not sweet corn, by the way. It's just like corn for cow feed and ethanol.
Corn feed and
So
all, yeah, okay, I gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah.
we actually supply. Oh, my husband used to work for a farmer down the road, and he was saying something like we supply 1/3 of Japan's soybeans. So we
Okay.
grow a lot of soybeans too. Um, yeah, it's like in the spring and the fall, it's tractors everywhere, dirt clods on the road,
Even in the
like that.
snow.
Well, just before the snow.
That was a
So we
joke.
just had a
That was a
snowfall.
joke saying it snows in the spring and summer and fall.
Oh, sometimes they'll be combining in the snow. If it's a
There you
very
go.
light layer of snow, they'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we do have some elements of southern Jay thinks Canada as well.
Pretty much. I mean, that's the picture I get,
We
honestly.
live in an igloo.
I will tell you, well, 4 years ago, during a certain administration here in the States, 4 years
Oh,
ago,
okay.
the thought of me moving to Canada did actually pop in my mind. And I did actually look, like I was looking for Canadian real estate. I was like, I wonder. First of all,
Really?
I got to. I mean, it wasn't going to happen, but it did pop in my mind, and I was like, okay, I got to figure out how the money exchange works and how much I
Yes.
need to make in order to get certain kinds of houses to raise my family if
Uh,
we did move to Canada.
what's the game plan?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I'd said it didn't cross my mind, because there are times when I was like, okay, that's it. And I was starting to look for like Canadian real estate or whatever the case may be. But yeah, so
Cool. So, do you want to talk about I would say the greatest tragic character in this book was her sister. And I can't remember the oldest sister. Do you remember her name?
the
The one
was it Freya or Flossie?
Oh yes, it was Freya.
Freya.
Yeah, Freya.
And of
Oh
course,
well, I
I
think her sister Flossie too was pretty messed up.
yeah.
Uh, but Freya, it just kind of touches on sexual abuse and the silence that
Mhm.
can come with that. And she was witness to that. And that just really got me, because even today, even though we've made great strides in making it possible for women to come out, men or women, whoever is sexually abused, to come out and just say, this happened to me. But again, she was burdened with such a terrible thing to happen, and she saw it and she witnessed it, and she felt like she was stuck.
And that just adds to, like, after witnessing that, and having the conversations she's had with her mother, like, you have to wonder all the stuff going through her head,
Yeah,
and the fact that she was able to keep it together as much as she did.
because her sister could barely keep it together.
Right, right. And yeah, I mean, that part's pretty brutal. I mean, that
Yeah,
whole aspect of it's pretty brutal.
yeah.
Um, and then you got to wonder, how long has she planned for the ending? And I don't
Mm.
want to say too much about it, because there are little snippets throughout, like little newspaper
Yes, I really
snippets.
liked that, actually. Did you like that?
Yeah, I usually like when they put something extra like that
Okay.
in books, because you're trying to unravel the meaning behind those.
Hmm.
And they all have like somewhat of a common theme. So and so heard shooting once again, or
Yeah.
so and so thought they heard this kind of shooting, and it kept their kids awake and whatever. And for it to unravel, and then you find out what the plan was of Betty at the end, and
Hmm.
it all comes together. It's what I call, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Usual Suspects, but the way the ending happens, I call it The Usual Suspects ending, because everything just kind of unravels all at once, and
Yes.
everything's tied together within 2 or 3 minutes. And you're like, bam, there it is. So
Yeah.
yeah. Hey Noah, what's going on, man?
Hey, Noah. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
So, kind of going off that tangent, when
yeah.
Leland
For a little
became a
mystery there,
preacher,
Brad.
oh
Hmm.
my goodness, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what?
Yeah,
I guess there wasn't a lot of accountability. I don't know how easy it was to become a preacher back in that time, but that was
yeah. I
insane.
mean, well, I was gonna say, I mean, there's probably no kind of background checks or anything, because
Yeah, I guess not.
nobody really knew what he did,
That's
right?
right.
And nobody was talking about what he did. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I maybe it was just a course he had to take on Sunday school, and learn from being an apprentice or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Hey, Juan, what's going on?
Hello. We've already started.
I know. Well, I say that on every live. That's what it is. So
Okay.
yeah. What's here? Josh picked Betty as most disturbing book. Yeah, there's a lot of disturbances in the force.
Yeah.
I think I just made some sort of Star Wars reference there. I don't
It's
know.
awesome.
I don't know. Or is that Star Trek? Let's make people mad.
No, it's Star Wars, not Star Trek.
I do that on purpose just to make people mad. They get
Yeah.
as much as we got infuriated about certain parts in the book, they feel the same way when I mix up Star Trek and Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't really get the Star Trek because I've never seen it, but I love Star Wars.
I don't care for either one, so it doesn't matter.
Oh.
I just like to mess with Star Wars fans.
Yes.
Just it's when people were talking about Star Wars, I'm like, oh yeah, I like the one when Spock was hurt
No
or
way.
something. People are like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So.
Maybe make the two together, mash them up. Set them straight. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, Josh from Working Man Reads picked this book as his most disturbing book.
Okay.
Juan from Played by Visions put together this huge collaboration that debuted yesterday. So you can hop over to his channel and check it out. It's an hour and 45 minutes, just so you know.
Okay.
He's got 20 some people. I'm in it. I finish it. I was the final person. So
yeah, it is actually. Well, I read this one and Songbirds and Stray Dogs this month, so I read.
Oh
that
wow!
one.
So
yeah, I mean they're both pretty disturbing.
It's kind of a depressing month for you then.
Oh, but they were both so strong. They were both good. Like they both, and I kind of mentioned it in my last wrap up, but they're both books that, I'm reading it and then, these disturbing things come up or I see how it connects to a deeper issue. And so I would stop reading and I would just kind of think and apply it to my own life and see like, okay, what's the message here? What's the theme? How can I learn from this? And so I really enjoy books like that, even though I may not, like as I said, the pacing was a little off in the beginning. Yeah. So even though they're not perfect, I really, really enjoy them because they give me something to think about.
So are you liking this? I think the style's kind of similar.
They're very similar.
Betty and Songbird.
Yeah, except I find with Megan Lucas, her writing is more direct.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that's why maybe it would have jived with you a little bit better because it's not as it doesn't take as many side tangents, whereas I find with Betty, and I think she does that a little bit more.
I think Megan's book's 200 some, not quite 300. Yeah. And that could be the pacing issue I had with Betty because, like I said, if we were to cut it down 50 to 75 pages, then I guess I'd be more involved with it. And it was just I think Songbirds had fewer downtime. It seemed like there was always something happening. Something very crucial to the story. Whereas in Betty, I could count a handful of places that almost to me felt like filler. And I don't want to say they were filler because I'm sure that the writer had a reason to put them in there because it was a book about her mother. I'm just thinking for the reader, it just kind of brought things to a screeching halt at times for me. So.
You know what I think it is actually? Those downtimes in Betty where, she's mentioning how her father taught her, specific lessons and then the land and then the lore of the area. I think it almost seems like she's writing a love note to her heritage, to those things that she was taught by her dad, like almost like a little bit of a monument to him. So I get how if you're not in the mood to take that downtime and like if you just need something fast paced, that would break it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I could be looking at it totally wrong as far as like she could have written it those downtimes after something big where it's like, okay, I'm going to let you take a little break yourself. Whereas I'm like, okay, if I want to take a little break, I just won't read it. You know what I mean? And maybe that was the mindset I was in at the time. Because like I told you, I went several days at a time without picking it back up. And it took me well, I mean, full disclosure, it was a buddy read for November, but I didn't finish it till last night. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, I think I've told you my schedule, so you know how busy I am.
Yes.
And that's no excuse because you have 6 kids. You're just as busy, if not more busy. But it was
I
just,
think we're busy with different things that
yes,
require different schedules. So no
yes,
judgment here.
and also the sickness hit my household this month or November, so
Oh.
I was, there's a lot of, a week and a half there where I was playing Mr. Mom, you know,
Oh.
so yeah, I just got behind with it, and that's why I didn't finish the book until last night. Pushed
Yeah.
my way through it, so
So it's
yeah.
understandable. Aw, thanks, Noah.
She is one
And
smart.
yes,
That's why I had her on, Noah. I'm trying to make my intelligence look higher by having smart people around me. That's
that's why we're becoming such great friends, right, Jay?
Yeah, can you
Yes.
believe she has 6 kids? Right,
Yes,
Noah?
I'm
Yeah.
not lying.
Have any of you read Crapalatia by Scott Hanahan? It's a Southern Gothic memoir full of
Ooh.
grit. I will write that down. That
Yeah, me
sound
too. I love anything gothic. I don't know. I don't know if it's like in the name or the nuance.
Crapalatia. Crapalatia. This just sounds good.
Appalachia.
Is that like a play on words of?
It
I'll
seems
have
like a
to.
play of words.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked what Brad said. I lose my mind. Yeah, there's some days that are definitely more
What?
difficult
This
than
one for
others.
Brad? The
Yeah.
magical
Okay, so
realism.
here. Yeah, Brad. Yeah, I like what he said, magical realism. Those are two great words to describe when her dad is setting her aside and teaching her life as he sees it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, she wasn't going to get that from her mother at all. Not that
No.
kind of. I mean, if her mother was left in charge of teaching her about life, I mean, I don't even want to think about
Oh, I
how
don't
it would
think she
turn
would have
out.
survived. Or she
No.
would have survived broken, like barely
Yeah.
surviving. So
Yeah.
her dad was really, I felt the wind beneath her wings. Like he really, and yeah, I like what you said, that he really helped her to be okay with who she was and the way she
Hmm.
looked. And I
I
think
mean,
that's such a strong message for today.
I could go ahead and I could still say that she's broken.
Hmm.
It's just a different kind of
Yeah.
broken, she's just a
Yeah.
different kind of broken at the end. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's see here. Juan has 0 kids, so already a mess. Okay. Is
Yeah.
that why I'm your co-host? I forgot the comment I made
Oh,
for you to.
because you're surrounding yourself with smart people.
Oh, okay. That's it's your show,
I,
Brad.
I guess so.
According to everybody in the universe, it's your show, Brad. So why do you have me with you?
It's because you're you're just so much fun to have
I'm just the
around.
comic relief. Brad's the one that has all the
Yeah.
hard hitting questions for the. So that's why I go quiet sometimes. He has all these questions for the writers. I'm like, think of the next joke I can break in there somewhere.
Exactly.
I love the story at the beginning about the heart
Yes, I'm
being
so
made of
glad you brought that
glass.
up. I forgot. It was a beautiful story.
We forgot because it was in the beginning and it's 500 pages here, so you forgot about it by the time you got to the end.
No, but once you wrote it down, it's like, oh yeah, of course. No,
Yeah.
that was definitely one of the prettier stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
So
it was beautiful.
I think I could go ahead and settle on a 4. You talked me into a 4. Yeah.
Good. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna stay on a 4 too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Because
had
4 is still really good. Hey, 4 means, or at least to me, it means that I really, really liked it. 5
yeah,
is perfection.
right.
Like there's nothing.
And of course that's our opinion. That's just our opinion too.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I need to look at Goodreads to see if there've been any 4s because I think all I've heard about are 5s.
So we're
So
gonna break.
oh wow, we
We're
might.
gonna break the trend. It's scary.
But for those watching now, and for those who will watch this later, before we went live, I said I had a low end and a high end, and it was between a 3 and a 4. I didn't want to split the difference between 3.5. I wanted a solid number, and 3 just felt too low for me.
Yeah.
But I think I have a few reasons why a 4 fits. I mean, it was not a perfection score for me. So again, it's just my opinion. Who am I?
Yeah.
Right?
Hey,
Yeah.
but you still enjoyed it for,
I did.
strong points that it did have. So
Brad, eye candy, Jay, comic relief, paper cuts live. It's Brad's beard. It's so thick. It has no gray in it.
there you go. Hey, but there's a lot of people find salt and pepper very, attractive. So Jay, you got that going for you.
Mainly salt. What do you salt? So I keep my hair so low so you don't see the gray.
Yes, very smart.
I am now.
Opinions can be wrong. Yes.
I am now 44 years old, guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm hitting 30 next year. It's a little scary.
Shut up.
Yes. Okay, not scary. It's gonna feel very different, I think. I don't know, it's a new decade. It's weird. But I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I really am not. I know I'm still young.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. He came back with a different one. Okay. Super. Yeah. Laugh away, Noah. So, where are we? Should we just go wrap it up? I think we're good. I think we.
Yeah. I think
what else? What else you want to talk about?
What?
What else you want to talk about? Is there anything else we missed about the?
I think that's it. That's all I had on my notes. But
yeah.
Oh, under 30. Yeah. I got married when I was 18. Had my first one at 19, and I've had kids over the last decade. So once I hit 30, that's it. Decade of kids is closed.
You did tell us your story in an episode of Paper Cuts, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I guess you didn't see it.
He'll have to go back and watch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think I've said everything I need to say about the book. But definitely,
I think we're good. I think we're good.
It should be a one-time read at least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have successfully made it through the book. This has been Betty Chat. I think I'm at a 4. You're at a 4.
Yeah.
Brutal. It's a very brutal story. There you go.
Yeah.
I guess that's it, right? All right. Should we
do
do this again sometime? What's next? Should we do this again sometime? Let me find like a bigger book.
Yes, no, we really should do this again.
Let me find a big. Do we have one that's like 1,000 pages?
Sure. I'll need like a month.
Yeah.
Okay, no, maybe not a month. I'll need 2 weeks because I can do like maybe max 100 pages a day. And then
I can't even do 100 pages a day. It takes me like 3 weeks to do a novella.
Actually, I'm really ashamed of myself because Brad did his The Stand read along in August, I think, and I still haven't finished it. I have to get it done in January because I really, really, really want to read it.
I started to Stand at least 3 times this year, and I just not very far. Yeah, I keep starting over.
Okay. Well, thankfully, my memory is so great. I don't have to start.
Yeah.
No, but I really want to get it done because I'm going to be so ashamed of myself if I just.
See you, Noah.
That's right. Bye, Noah.
What is the other one, Brad? The summer that melted everything, or something like that?
Oh, sure. There's more from her. Well, how many books does she have out, Brad?
I just know about those two, Betty and the summer that everything melted. Or I don't. I'm messing that one totally up. I should probably look it up. But
yeah. Well, do you want to pick a book, Jay? And I'm totally down to reading it with you.
I'll have to take a look. I'll have to look around. I'll see.
Okay. Because I think you're a little more particular with books than I am. So I kind of.
What do you mean by that?
You like the more. I can read anything from fantasy to literary fiction.
I could do literary fiction.
Hey, can you do romance?
No, I can't do. I can't. This was about this was as much romance I was able to handle.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, I could do literary again. I mean, that's nothing.
Okay.
I can't really do sci-fi and fantasy. I can do horror sci-fi mixture because I just did one not too long ago. Um, yeah, we'll think of something. I know
We'll
Brad
think
and
of
I are
something.
supposed to be reading Donald Ray Pollock at some point, so
Okay.
maybe we can come in on that.
Yeah, sure.
She is working on a
Oh,
third. There we go.
okay.
The crime thing that happened in a few years. I live in Ohio. There's a lot of crime things that happened a few years ago, Brad.
Oh, I'm not.
You're not talking about the family of 8, are you? That are ooh, I can't become all political all of a sudden in this. I don't want to ruin the. Maybe that's what
Maybe.
Juan is saying. Read War and Peace. Yeah.
Yes, I'm actually following the Codex Cantina next year when they start up War and Peace. I'm so on that
How
reading
we pay?
train.
That's 1,200, isn't it?
That's huge. Well, I have this small little paperback,
Oh
so
wow.
but they just did Anna Karenina,
Yeah.
and I would love to, but man, I have my TBR set already for January, so I can only go after that.
I watched the whole Anna Karenina stuff, and every time I kept on saying, "Are we saying Karenina right? How do we know it's not Karenina?" I don't. That's just how my brain works. But anyway, okay.
Yes, sounds good.
Chillicothe 6.
Okay.
I thought it was 8, but maybe it was 6. Unless I'm thinking of 2 major crimes mixed together,
Mm,
because that's literally like an hour for me. So,
yeah.
all right, we're done with Betty talk, Betty
Yes.
chat. That's it. Juan, Brad, Noah, Una from Codex Cantina was here earlier, so thank you guys
Yeah.
for joining us.
Thank you.
What I'll do, Leah, is download this and send it over to you. If you want to put it on your channel, you can, or
Definitely.
if you want to burn it, that's fine too. But
No.
yeah, I think I'm mixing 2 different ones, Brad. But yeah, there's 2 major ones happening around the same time. We're getting that later. All right, everyone, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. I'm going to end the broadcast.